Welcome to Main Street Sports. Ray Halbrook here, owner of Live Stream STL. Hope you're having a great afternoon, and we're going to jump right straight in here. We have a great show today with coaches around the area here, large school, small school, independent school, you name it, we've got it here. And we're going to jump over here real quick to Jeff Whitener. Jeff, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great today. How are you, Ray?
Good.
I'm very excited. We've had fun and a very compact summer baseball schedule, but it won't be long now. And I'm sure all three of these gentlemen are chomping at the bit right now to talk a lot and get involved with a little football action here. We are joined, and I'm very pleasantly happy and surprised that we're able to get all three of these gentlemen at the same time. Just starting from closest to the farthest here, we're joined by new Festus Tiger head coach, A.J. Ofadole. And coach is new. This will be his first season with the Festus Tigers. Then we have in the middle, of course, we have Dan Fox. And I think this is entering your third season in Crystal City. And a little bit different for Crystal City this year, a perennial small school in the county, and they're actually moving to an independent schedule this year. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Coach Fox. And then, of course, down the far end, Alex Rugley. Coach, is this seventh season?
Sixth season.
Six seasons behind the helm of the Jefferson Blue Jays. So we thought we'd get their perspective today, see how things are going a little bit. And first of all, for those who not know and may be more familiar with Coach Fox and with Coach Rugley, I wanted to start a little more background on Coach Ofadole, if you don't mind. Most recently, you were on Barry Odom's staff down at Mizzou.
Correct.
And I think you were in charge of recruiting, and then you went to coaching on the field level. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
So initially, I was the director of recruiting for 2 seasons, and then I coached wide receivers 1 season and tight ends 1 season.
So it's specific different coaches for the wide receivers and tight ends because of blocking schemes and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. Completely different position in that offense, so separated out.
And prior to that, you coached Rockbridge High School down in Columbia, took them to a state championship in 2013. Is it?
Correct.
Yep. And before that, had a little stint in the NFL. I think drafted by the Bills, was it?
Yes.
And then, but most notably, were you able to play for the Ravens, for the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, the majority of my career was the Ravens. I was good enough to trick people into keeping me, but that was about it. So I hung around a little while.
Well, that's okay. That's more than 99% of the population could say. Yeah. You play tight end for the Ravens? So very familiar with that. That's my favorite position on the field. I played a little tight end back in the day. So anyway, Coach O, as most folks refer to him as, the new Festus Tiger head coach. Coach, you've had a while now after taking the job to kind of get settled in. Are you settled into the area, moved in, everything kind of taken care of?
We're getting there, so I'm settled into a place. We're still kind of moving. My wife's still transitioning. The whole, obviously, the quarantine deal. We had got up and running in the weight room. I was excited about that. Kind of felt like I was back at home where I belong. And then the quarantine hit and shut us all down. And that also kind of delayed my plans of relocating. Originally planned on being here by May full time, and then with the quarantine and not necessarily sure what to do as far as taking precautions and looking at a house and selling a house and doing all those things. We slowed everything down, so that delayed us a little bit, but we're up and running now.
Well, good. Hopefully, if you guys anybody sees Coach over in the area, say hi and welcome them to Jefferson County. Probably a little different culture for a football environment than maybe what you might be used to in Boone County and some of the things around here. Most teams have been known, and I think these gentlemen will back me up. This has been a pretty big baseball county, baseball, softball, real big, strong cross country. But one of the reasons that, in addition to football, one of the reasons, Ray, that I wanted to have these guys on today is all three of these gentlemen are in charge of the strength and conditioning programs at their respective schools, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So my first question is really for all three of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, asking you to speculate right off the bat, how optimistic are you that football season is going to begin on time here with our current schedules that are laid out? And we'll start with Coach O.
I'm incredibly optimistic. I think we're short of something unforeseen. I think we're scheduled to start on time. I think we have some protocols in place that are going to make it safe for our kids. Obviously as safe as it can be in the current climate. And, kids are excited about it. Coaches are excited about it. And I know there'll be some bumps in the road here and there. And, we have some protocols in place to address those things as well. But, we'll be starting on time. And then we'll take the bumps and the curves and everything else as they come.
These gentlemen over here are shaking their heads and nodding in agreement. So, Coach Fox, how do you feel about it?
I can't say it much better than that, to be honest with you. That's pretty much where we're all at it.
And I know for a fact Coach Rugley feels the same way. Do you need to add anything to that, Alex?
Absolutely. Coach O hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it's one of those things that we don't even really talk about it with our kids. I mean, we continue to move forward, and we're full steam ahead as August 10th is when we're rolling, and that's when we're rolling.
I don't know about you, Ray, but I absolutely love that attitude and outlook from all three guys.
Yep.
I agree 100%. We talked a little bit about the guidelines set down from Misha, and I'm gonna start this one off with Coach Fox. One of the things they did was removed all jamborees from the schedule. Sometimes coaches use that just as sort of a practice warm-up. You get to hit somebody else. Coaches are using it to evaluate their depth charts and make sort of, if guys are on the bubble, who to start here, who there are, they kind of make those decisions. Is the lack of jamborees game, is it going to affect you, or what will be some of the other ways you can assess your team to develop your starters and depth charts?
I mean, you can always have an inter-squad scrimmage. I mean, that's the best case scenario, I would say. Even though you guys have been, eventually you'll be practicing against one another for a long period of time. It's always good to hit another team. But obviously we want to have a longevity of a season more than just going and have a jamboree against another school and then possibly have an issue that arises from that and not have to play the next couple of weeks. So if we have to tear it back a little bit and have an inter-squad scrimmage instead of a jamboree, that's what we'll have to do.
Coach Rugley, does it make your decision any tougher as far as depth?
You know what? It's kind of one of those things like Coach Fox said. You can do different things from an inter-squad standpoint. From what I gather, the jamboree system was an MFCA recommendation, not a MISHA.
I'm sorry, you are correct.
So we have every intention of still hosting our jamboree at Jefferson R7 this year.
Okay.
So we're going to utilize that as an opportunity to again gauge where our kids are at and see where we need to go.
Very good point there. I failed to mention. Yeah, Missouri Football Coaches Association. How about Festus? What are their plans?
Yeah, we're in the same boat. We're planning on continuing to put together our jamboree and to host and say put together, just because a lot of it's going to depend on the teams that we typically bring in and how they feel about it. Each coach will probably feel a little bit different with that recommendation out there, but we intend on hosting it. And then like both these coaches said, if we don't or are not able to, then we'll do an inter-squad scrimmage. And as far as the evaluation piece, I mean, really from an inter-squad standpoint, you control the environment a little bit more, so you got a chance to kind of work on your game day operations, implementing your special teams, getting them on and off the field, working through situational football a little bit more. So there's a benefit there. With the jamboree, the obvious benefit is how do you respond to competing against somebody else, but it's also a very short window of competition too. So there's some benefits either way. So if we're able to host it, then we'll be thrilled to do it. If not, then we'll get some good work out of the inter-squad situation.
And really, for you coming in the program, sort of a clean slate as far as you being able to evaluate the talent level, your Festus Tigers. Now, you guys have all had summer camps going on. Coach Ruggs, what are you seeing in terms of participation, and has the virus scare kept anyone away at this point?
So far from what we've seen, our attendance has been phenomenal. I mean, whenever we got going with everything from a standpoint of football, strength conditioning on July 1 and then into the football, our kids were so excited. And this goes for our male athletes and our female athletes. They're extremely excited to be back at school. I mean, you could tell that they miss being at school. And for some of them, you don't know that you expect to hear that, and you get to see that with their faces and their emotions, and we loved having all of them back. We were following those protocols that we talked about earlier, and making sure that it's a very safe environment for our kids. I told them our weight room right now is probably in our school is clean. It's spotless, and it's one of the cleanest places in our school district with all the disinfecting, sanitizing that's going on in between sets, reps, all that stuff. It's pretty neat to see the kids take a lot of ownership in what they're doing because they want to be here this fall and they want to be kids.
Awesome. How are your numbers? Well, I guess you don't really have anything to compare to, but what are you being told as far as your numbers and participation, Coach?
I think we're probably about on par for what we have been. We have a lot of kids that are coming out. Our weight room situation is interesting. Just like everybody's going through is working through maybe a little bit of a different routine that you would normally do in terms of the numbers of kids that you can get in the weight room, and then obviously, like Coach said, a lot of sanitizing, trying to keep as much space as possible. So we're putting in a lot of hours because we have small groups that go. So
right.
You obviously have a lot more groups than you normally would do. But kids are responding really well, doing some new things that they haven't done before. So I think they're excited about that. And then there's some things that are familiar to them too. So they can excel in some of those things. And then as far as the on-field piece, they've been really excited about that. We're probably a lot different than maybe what they've been in the past in terms of philosophy, especially offensively.
Right.
So I think kids have been excited about maybe being a little bit more wide open and something that incorporates some different types of athletes and some of those things.
Sure.
So it's been fun. It's been really, for me, fun getting back to the high school level. I love high school football, and that's kind of always been the dream for me was coach high school ball, and I got the great opportunity up the road. But this is awesome for me to get a chance to get back to high school.
Well, great. Well, we're very happy to have you in the area. The reason I save Coach Fox for last, and you know where this is coming from, because it's hard the last few years to talk about Crystal City unless we can talk about numbers. So
right.
So I apologize ahead of time, Coach. But being that small school and being on that bubble, how are you looking so far?
A lot better than last year.
Good.
Yeah, our numbers have bounced back quite a bit, and I don't know what last year was about, but we got the right kind of kids that are out for football. We got some new kids that are out for football, and we're just there to coach them up as best we can. Our weight room's rocking and rolling too. The kids are happy to be back, and it's a positive experience, and it's going good for us right now.
So you're a happy man right now, I would imagine.
I'll let you know at the end of the season, but I'm as happy as I can get right now. So yeah.
Well, Ray, if you don't mind, I'd like to take our first break, if we could.
We can do that.
And we come back. I have some specific questions. Kind of want to talk to Coach O a little more, find out about his background. But we will get to those questions right over coming back on the Main Street Sports Show right here on Livestream STL.
Since their inception in 1980, SMCI has always been about high integrity and treating people the way you would want to be treated, just like family. Mostly known as a commercial contractor, SMCI has now decided to give the family treatment to everyone. They are now opening their residential department to the public as Home by SMCI so everyone can experience the home treatment. Everyone deserves maximum comfort in their very own home. Isn't it time you come home? Contact SMCI at 636-337-4444 or on the web at homebysmci.com.
This live stream STL has been a huge asset for Jefferson County sports, in my opinion. I mean, getting these athletes the camaraderie that they're out there and people can see them. I mean, to be honest with you, I got a call from a coach yesterday about one of my athletes that said that they saw some of her games on live stream STL.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that right there instilled to me that this is important. This is important for those kids. And so, I think it's great, and I wish you guys the best. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor, this is a great opportunity for kids to support kids of our local kids and get them support and get them acknowledgement out there, because we have a lot of great athletes in this county.
We appreciate that. And at the end of the day, our mission is much the same as your missions, coaches, to help shine a light on these kids and get them exposure and get their name out there and help them. And if they can advance, they're better off, we're better off as a community, and that's why we're here.
A former player and coach of Festus 253 baseball, and now specializing in criminal defense, family law, wills, estates, and trusts, the law offices of Matthew Brown is here for you, representing you the right way, not the easy way. In Festus at 101 East Main Street or on Facebook and the web, call 314-628-0033.
For fine Mexican cuisine,
a family atmosphere,
any place to watch your local sport teams. Come out to La Pechangas. Check out our 4 locations: Arnold, Herculaneum, Crystal City, and Bonter. Come out to La Pechanga.
Guys, I've always wanted to ask you this since you're both pitchers. What's your favorite pitch? It's a fastball? Okay, I know. It's a curveball. No? Okay, well, what's your favorite pitch?
Oh yeah. Spitball.
The Main Street Sports Show. You never know what we're going to throw at you. And we are back here. Thanks for watching Main Street Sports. We're going to go to our second segment here with Jeff Whitener. Jeff, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
I could turn your microphone. That'd be helpful, right?
Doing well, Ray. And I just want to remind any folks watching at home, if they have any questions for these three gentlemen, I'm sure there's a lot of Festus folks that might have some questions for Coach O. Feel free to toss them into the comments section there, and we'll try to get to them before the show's over. So, one of the things we talked about, we want to talk about to Coach O a little more specific. Now that you're moved in and settled into the area, what's your coaching staff looking like? Did you retain any of your coaching staff that was previously, or do you have some new coaches coming in?
No, we actually retained the whole staff. So, those guys are doing a great job. It's, a lot for them to adapt to. My style's a little bit different, maybe a little unorthodox. So, and they've done a great job adapting to me. And then I think it's really valuable. When Barry took over at Rockbridge and I was his offensive coordinator, we always thought how much of an advantage it would have been to have more retention on the staff, guys who know the ins and outs, and even just down to the facility layout. Right. Guys who know the obstacles there, have an idea of what that process needs to look like. Then you can kind of focus on the ball side of it, as opposed to some of those logistical things, because they got that piece of it's all worked out. So it was awesome having those guys. They're doing a good job. I think they're having a lot of fun, and we've done some things, like I said, a lot different, maybe just in terms of how we structure it, and I think they're taking to it really well.
Well, we can't wait to see the new look Festus Tigers, and I know, and we can talk a little bit about that toward the end of the show, Ray. We can talk about the schedule. We're gonna get to see them at least a couple times this year.
3 times, yeah.
You're the 9th coach in Festus football history. Pretty good history there with the Festus Tigers. What was it about the job when you took a look at it and did the research that really appealed to you?
So there were several things. Initially when we got let go as a staff at Mizzou, I knew I thought I wanted to get back into high school. My heart was always in high school. High school just the whole high school situation just aligns a little bit more with my sense of purpose. So, but I was willing to entertain some college jobs, and I had an opportunity to go coach at the Mid-American Conference in a couple different places. And when I just looked at everything that was involved and what I really wanted to do, and sat down and thought about it long and hard, and I decided I wanted to go back to high school, and I didn't know if that meant going to Texas or Georgia or someplace like that and getting a whole new environment. And then when I just looked at the years I already have in the teaching retirement system and some of those things, I thought it made a lot more sense to stay in Missouri. And so I just kind of opened up and looked at just about every opening that was available in Missouri and started researching them and putting some applications in. And, my initial deal is I wanted to be at Class 6, potentially Class 5, and there were a couple schools in St. Louis, so I thought maybe I wanted to, go to St. Louis. And then I had someone contact me about the Festus opening, and, just in hearing it out and what the situation was and what the opportunity was. And then, a good friend of mine that, he's currently the head coach at Hallsville High School, formerly the head coach at Battle High School, Justin Conyers. And he's somebody, he started out coaching with me at Rockbridge, done a phenomenal job, was my defensive coordinator for years, won a state championship at Battle. He's one of the better coaches in the state, and he made that move from Battle to Hallsville, a little bit smaller school. And so I had him in talking to him, like, what were the key factors? And, he kept pointing back to being in a little bit smaller community, being part of that community, being in a district that is one high school and everybody's kind of pulling in the same direction. In Columbia Public Schools, we had the 3 high schools,
Sure.
And there's always competition for resources and everything else. And he just really, got me to really look at that in a different way. And so when I did all my research and what the situation was and what I felt like my quality of life was going to be, and then an opportunity to maybe, make an impact on the program, of the places I interviewed, I felt like Festus was the one. I felt like it was the right choice. I still believe that, a few months into the process, I've been every day, I'm, a little bit more surprised in terms of how the administration operates, in terms of the ability of the kids that we have, the buy-in from the kids. All those things have been really good. So I'm really excited about getting going.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the ability of your kids, because that leads me to my next question. And we've talked off air about the fact that you did your research and looked at game film from last year. You started to have camps and are able to start getting an idea of what kind of talent that you have. Has anyone stood out for you so far in terms of talent or pleasant surprises that you've seen in the camps?
Really more than one individual that stood out, just collectively, the overall skill set of our skill positions has been really pleasant. We have some D-line kids that we feel like have a chance to be pretty special. Our offensive line kids have been really solid in a lot of positions, a lot of spots, and, decent size. And so you never know. You feel like, hey, we got a chance maybe to be okay with the research that you do, and then you start actually getting on film. And the most important thing is, putting in a system that is complete opposite of what they've done over the last few years in their career, and you don't know how kids will respond to that just in terms of their ability to pick it up. And, we're ahead of schedule. And let me qualify that statement. We're not ahead of schedule where we normally would be in a normal year.
Right.
We're ahead of where I thought we would be at this time.
In a COVID year.
In a COVID year, we're ahead of where I thought with this short a time. I've never done it, and none of us have, with this short a time to prepare for a season. But, kids have been on the ball as far as really being learners and picking the stuff up, so that part's been exciting.
Yeah, that's an additional challenge that maybe Coach Rugley and Coach Fox don't have. You're coming in, you're implementing a new season, and you've got this compressed time period to do so. So it may take a few games for the guys to really start gelling under this new system. So that's an added challenge for you. Now, you hinted a little bit about doing some things, maybe opening up the offense a little bit. How does it look on the defensive side of the ball? There's some different things that you want to try on that side too.
Yeah, and I think we'll be a little bit different philosophically on defense. They did a lot of things defensively last year, and just as a coach, one of the things, I have a few non-negotiables, but not many, but I have a few, and one is just really establish an identity on defense in terms of what you're going to major in from a front and a coverage standpoint. And, and they did a great job of having some change-ups. They did a really nice job defensively last year with some of those things. But for me, just, what's our identity going to be? How are we going to line up? What's our primary coverage going to be? Let's master that. And, maybe a little bit more simplicity and a little bit more mastering of those simple concepts. And that's, kind of who we want to be defensively.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you answering those questions. And as I said, if anyone has any additional questions for Coach Ofadale, Coach O, leave them in the comment section. Ray will get to those in a little bit. I want to shift the attention over to Coach Fox for a moment. Coach, last year, for folks that may not know, Crystal City School District decided to leave the Mississippi Conference and go independent. And part of that had to do with numbers and being able to compete fairly with what you had versus some of the other schools in the conference, and completely understandable. But now, in addition to that, and trying to put together the schedule, obviously we've got these uncharted waters we're going through with COVID-19. So you had the extra challenge of trying to put together a schedule, an independent schedule, and then on top of this, have you been able to round out a full schedule yet for the Hornets, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we actually, believe it or not, there's lots of schools that want to play us.
Really?
Yeah. But we found 8 weeks, eight games, solid ones, and we had an opening for week 2. But there might be a little bit of reshuffling depending on how this COVID stuff works out.
Sure.
We don't know what St. Louis schools are going to decide upon, but there were we reached all around the state, and we even have a neutral site with a school near Kansas City that we went ahead and locked up, a smaller school in the same situation as us. So we're ended up playing out at Westminster College in Fulton and meeting in the middle. But yeah, we were able to handle out our schedule, and things are falling into place right now. Like I said, a few of the St. Louis schools, we don't know what direction they're going to plan on going, but we had a couple of those on our schedule that if they fall through, then they fall through, and we other Jefferson County schools might unite and try to play each other somehow, some way.
Sure.
Make things work out. If not, I'll be grateful just to have a season, let alone a couple holes in my schedule here and there. So
that's a familiar tone for Ray and I, and for Zach Bone, and some of the coaches this summer. Just thankful to have a season and find anybody to play so that the kids have an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, obviously. So I'm very glad to hear that. Westminster has a new football field, new stadium, I believe.
New football field, yeah.
I'm asking the alumni over there.
Yeah, new football field. I think last year was year 2 for that.
Yeah.
But I think they're waiting on some bleachers and stuff like that to come in. But it looks sharp. I wish we were able to play on that.
Big doings up there for the D3 school up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Coach Rugley has some guys that playing up there at Westminster that went to R7. Well, let me ask you this. One more question about the numbers, and I promise I will not bring it up anymore this year.
I'm used to answering it. It's all right. Fire away.
We're seeing similar situations with schools, primarily in the St. Louis City area, that have been low on numbers. Okay, and I've had this discussion with Jim Powers and some others, and he firmly believes, as do I, that we're going to start to see 8-man football here in this part of the state. If 8-man football were to, if there were enough teams to start forming a league on this or conference on this side of the state, is that something, do you feel, that Crystal City would entertain as a school district?
I can't speak on behalf of what our administration or our school board would probably entertain or not. There's always the rumors before I even took the job that they had possibly entertained that thought. However, most of the 8-man football was in the northwest area of the state, and you couldn't travel 4 to 5 hours away to have a game. Most of the schools up north of St. Louis, the smaller schools, I believe are Class 1, Class 2, but there's a lot of them, and they have their own league, and they're scheduled out 2 to 3 years out, so they don't. Those are the closest competition we could find. Depending if they want to go 8-man or not. They hired me to try to fight for a football program with 11-man football, and that's what we're going to do. And the kids deserve it, and we've got enough kids to play Class 1 football. We just don't have enough, even in the building, to even really house a JV program, to be honest with you. So we'll go with, right now we're at about 22, 23 kids, and that's great for where we were last year. And, our kids are kind of in shock, the fact that we can actually play 11 versus 11 and maybe have a couple extra spare bodies on the sidelines kind of watching. So I couldn't tell you what anybody would think about that as far as that goes. I would tell you probably just from experience, most people from Crystal City would not want to do that.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate your very honest, very candid answer on that, Coach. As I talked to Coach O a little bit, I want to ask you as well. Obviously, the numbers are up a little bit this year. Any pleasant surprises? Anybody that's really impressed you on either side of the ball?
Well, Chase Coleman's had a lot of experience for us. He's going to be a senior this year, and he looks more explosive than I've ever seen him. But he's a kid, too, that you tell him, hey, I'm assuming probably you coaches did the same thing, but I made at-home workouts for these kids to do when everything was shut down. I gave them workouts to do at the Crystal City Park that they could do, and Chase Coleman's one of those kids that did them. And I had no way of tracking them. I wasn't out there running them. I sent it on Google through their email and said, guys, this is some stuff that you can be doing to keep your bodies in shape. And Chase Coleman's one of those kids that bought in. He's bought in since I've been there in the weight room and the off-season speed and development stuff. And he looks explosive. And I look for him to have a good year. And we've got some returning seniors, Carter Krieg and Ian Raftery. They're offensive and defensive linemen. They've just gotten better every year. And so we're going to lean on those dudes a little bit. And we've got some extra kids that came out that hopefully can sprinkle in and get some wins this year.
Any incoming freshmen that you think can make an impact for you right away?
I mean, Class 1 football, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, they can, absolutely.
Any names you want to mention? Put it that way.
Caden Raftery, which is Ian's younger brother, is a promising young freshman football player that he bleeds it. I mean, he lives it and loves it. Luke Holdinghausen, our superintendent's son, he's been doing the weight room, and he just keeps growing and growing, and he's getting better. And there's actually quite a few that we kept that 8th grade group that are going to be freshmen, and they're going to be a pretty good group to get us back on track if the senior group can't do it. So,
excellent.
Yeah,
good to hear. It is good for everybody in the county, good for every school, for Crystal City to have a good program.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, Rugley's going to tell you that we save the best for last, but that's just that's just Alex. But have to move along here. Before we get that, though, do you know how many at Festus? Do you have any idea how many seniors you lost to graduation?
How many lost to graduation?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. We have 25 back though.
Okay, I couldn't find out. I couldn't find the info the other day. But how many seniors did you lose, Coach?
We lost 4. We only had 4. We had that was our smallest senior group that we've had since I've been there.
That was, wow.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Got 13 back, 13 seniors for this upcoming, which is our biggest senior class we've had since I've been there. So.
Yeah, that's true. All those guys were juniors last year. That's so. With all those returning guys, you're only losing 4. Are we going to see, with an experienced squad, are we going to see any new wrinkles this year?
Well, I think you saw a little bit actually last year with what we started doing week 5 on through the rest of our football season. Is we were a good old fashioned, typical like what we did at Hillsboro power football. Right at you and ran some triple option. Well, we spread our athletes out on the perimeter, and we allowed them to get the football and put them in space. And we threw the ball quite a bit from week 5 on through week 10, and our kids loved it. They loved every bit of it. They had a lot of fun, and I think that it allowed them to be the type of athlete that they are capable of being in space. And we have all those kids back besides BP. Brandon Perry, who graduated, who was our leading receiver. He had 30 receptions last year. But, we got a lot of those kids back. So they're familiar with what we implemented from week 5 on last year. And you're going to see a lot more of the same this year.
The quarterback situation, obviously last year Colton Richardson, starting quarterback, got injured fairly early in the season.
Yeah, Valley about midway through the third quarter against Valley.
Right,
yeah.
And you had some other guys come in and pick up the slack. How does the quarterback situation and depth chart look for you this year?
You know what? I tell you what, Colton, anytime you have a kid, and I knew he was going to develop into being a big young man. I played football with his dad, and I knew his grandpa whenever I was at Herculaneum, and they're 6'3" to 6'5", and his dad was a 215-pound football player, and I knew he was going to develop into being a big kid. He's about 6'4", 205 right now. And anytime you know that a young man going to develop into that. As from a 7th grader, we moved him from tight end to quarterback because I was hoping that he was going to develop into that, to be honest with you, and he's doing it. And to see him all compete. You know, Drew Brees had a great last 4.5 games for us last year.
Did.
You know, so. And then we have another young man who's a sophomore, Gavin Theodoro, who had a great JV year for us last year. So I feel extremely blessed. We feel extremely blessed anytime you can have 3 quality quarterbacks as a Class II program. So we're able to do that, and all 3 of those young men, I believe, could play on a Friday night at any moment. So that's a great attribute and a testament to those young men and their work ethic. They've been working hard in the weight room, working their speed and strength and stuff like that, and just seeing the field and reading defenses and understanding what we're wanting to do offensively. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But one way or another, we've got to get those guys on the field offensively because all 3 of them are athletes.
I was going to say, and there probably will be situations where you're going to have more than, one of those guys might be quarterback, but the other guys might be lining up other areas out on the offense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody surprise you? Anybody come into camp this year? Everything with the COVID going on, and Coach mentioned his player where you might say, hey, that kid worked the whole time. That kid just didn't sit around playing video games.
Yeah, the first one that comes to my mind, and I think that we've seen it this summer in 253, is Dylan Schnitzler. You can see the transformation that his body took on from about February on until now. And anytime that we were able to get – my coaches would send me texts saying, hey, D. Schnitz is at I don't know if it's Complete Fitness. I don't know the name of the place that he goes to at like 6 in the morning working.
Is your spies out there seeing who's at the various weight rooms?
Yeah, but they're saying, I get texts and saying, hey, D. Schnitz is working his rear end off. And you can see it he has literally – and you could see it happening right before COVID. I mean, we put a huge emphasis on power cleans and the emphasis on that, and his power clean was just skyrocketing whenever we left for our quarantine. And he's put on about 20 pounds of good weight, and he's still continued to keep his speed, if not a little bit faster. So he's the first one that sticks out whenever you ask that question.
Yeah, well, we've certainly seen him have a very successful summer season for Legion 253 baseball. That's for sure. I guess on a personal note, last year you made the decision to step down from being the head track coach of the team, and you're working through things. Working on your master's, was it something like that? Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But has taking on more of an assistant role there, which is not really much of an assistant because you're probably, knowing you're probably devoting almost as much time as you were before. Were you able to shift more attention to football year-round, or how has that worked for you?
Yeah, definitely. It was amazing, just the time that goes in, and Coach Fox can attest to this, the time that goes into track from basically about beginning of March through the end of May is unreal. I mean, and, you're there late at meets, then you're on the weekends, you're breaking down other track meets to see where you can get points here and there, and then you're inputting kids into meets on Mile Split or TRXC or whatever that is, and then you have practice in there as well. So, the time that I didn't have from doing that allowed me to, I'm going to be real honest, we were breaking down Fredericktown film and things like that in March and February. And that's our week 1 opponent, just for the simple fact that I had time to do it.
Right.
After school, I helped out Coach Horn, who's our new head track coach, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's what myself, Coach Atley, what we were doing, after school. So it allowed us to, and then purchasing things and getting all that stuff rolling.
Right.
Just the dotting the I's, crossing the T's type stuff. It just allowed us to focus on football. And you know what? I love those kids to death, and I'm glad that our track program has taken off like it has the past 5 years. But, it was nice to go talk to other coaches across not just Missouri but all across the country about football. And, we also presented about our offenses and clinics and things like that.
Sure.
We weren't able to do that prior to this, so it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that's been working out. And I was remiss, Coach O, in addition to your head football coaching duties and your strength and conditioning duties, are you going to be assisting in any other sports as far as coaching?
I'm a one-trick pony. I'm just football. That's all I don't know anything else, unfortunately.
Excellent. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break, Ray, and we'll come back. I'll have questions for all of these gentlemen here, but you are lucky enough to be watching the Main Street Sports Show right now on Livestream STL. We'll be right back.
Where's the game? Where's the game? Where's the game? There's the game. Livestream STL, now available on Roku.
I wonder what Coach Jarvis is up to.
Jason! Jason! What's up? What's up? Ah!
Oh, hang on a minute. I got a call from Blair.
What's up?
What am I doing? I'm sitting here watching the coach's box.
This must be a wrong number.
For fine Mexican cuisine.
A family atmosphere.
Any place to watch your local sport teams. Come out to La Pechangas. Check out our 4 locations: Arnold, Herculaneum, Crystal City, and Bon Terre. Come out to La Pechanga.
What you guys do for Jefferson County sports, it doesn't go unnoticed by the coaches in all sports.
Yeah,
all
I appreciate
sports.
that.
You know, I have a lot of friends that are head, basketball coaches, and I've been, of course, around Jefferson County all my life and followed all kinds of sports, even before I got into the coaching. So what you guys do to help promote it with the kids is unbelievable, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
For you guys to take your time and what you do is awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, well, we try, we work hard, and we think they deserve it. The kids deserve to be able to be seen, and if we can turn out kids in the community to better them, get them in college, and make them a better citizen, that's the key.
Since their inception in 1980, SMCI has always been about high integrity and treating people the way you would want to be treated, just like family. Mostly known as a commercial contractor, SMCI has now decided to give the family treatment to everyone. They are now opening their residential department to the public as Home by SMCI, so everyone can experience the home treatment. Everyone deserves maximum comfort in their very own home. Isn't it time you come home? Contact SMCI at 636-337-4444 or on the web at homebysmci.com.
This live stream SDL has been a huge asset for Jefferson County sports, in my opinion. I mean, getting these athletes the camaraderie that they're out there and people can see them. I mean, to be honest with you, I got a call from a coach yesterday about one of my athletes that said that they saw some of her games on live stream SDL.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that right there instilled to me that this is important. This is important for those kids. And so, I think it's great, and I wish you guys the best. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor, this is a great opportunity for kids to support kids of our local kids and get them support and get them acknowledgement out there, because we have a lot of great athletes in this county.
We appreciate that. And at the end of the day, our mission is much the same as your missions, coaches, to help shine a light on these kids. And get them exposure and get their name out there and help them. And if they can advance, they're better off, we're better off as a community, and that's why we're here.
And we are back here. Thanks for watching Main Street Sports again. We open up our third segment here. We're going to have Mr. Jeff Whitener kick us off here. Take it away, my friend.
Well, Ray, we've talked about football quite a bit, but we've also talked about the fact that all three of these gentlemen are the head of their strength and conditioning programs for their respective schools. So we're going to take a little time to talk about lifting. We're going to talk about throwing steel. We're going to talk about hanging and banging, Hulkamania running around here. So, gentlemen, if you would, like I said, all three of you guys are in charge of the strength and conditioning program. This might be an open-ended, weird question, but to talk a little bit about the philosophy, not only for your football athletes, but for other athletes as well as students who may want to come in for strength and conditioning. Is there a specific plan that, or do some kids just come in because they want an anaerobic and aerobic workout? How all does that work at Crystal City, Coach Fox? Oh,
you're up. Sorry about that. Oh, no, now you are.
Ray's asleep at the wheel over there.
I am asleep at the wheel. Sorry about that.
Myself talk.
Golly.
I mean, as far as Crystal City goes, we're trying to get these kids to realize that what we're teaching is to be better athletes, be more explosive athletes. So I'm not a big into massive amounts of numbers or gains as far as strength goes. I want these kids to be able to move. We're not building giant refrigerator, Coke machine type football players. What we do is for all inclusive athletes, no matter what sport they play, so that they can run faster, jump higher, and move quicker laterally. And ultimately, that's what it is. Crystal City, though, no offense the way it was before, but it's a little more efficient. I like to think right now they let us build a new weight room for the kids. We get more kids involved now, and the expectations are that they're going to lift and they're going to learn to move better. We're seeing a little bit of it right now, but buying those kids into it, there was a little bit of hesitation with a lot of kids, just because it was not as detailed as I'd like to think, and those kids were allowed to do some other stuff around that I wouldn't necessarily suggest. But now it's one of those things where it's been around long enough, and junior high kids have been buying into it, and it's starting to become a way of life for them down there, and it's great to have.
It's a cultural thing. I've seen a lot of schools that, one time it was, you just see, like back in my day, it was just the football players for the most part, and now it's a thing where you can get the whole school involved as far as being more healthy. And Coach Wrigley, how about you as far as tailor-making things not only for different sports but for different positions? I would imagine. Are you able to sort of tailor these programs to, let's say you've got a kid that's a softball player coming in and they're primarily a catcher and they're a power hitter versus a kid who's a running back in football. Are you able to tailor-make programs for them?
Yeah, our workouts are, our boys' strength and conditioning workouts are a little bit different than our girls' strength and conditioning, workouts. You talk, like you said, you have a softball girl and a volleyball girl. They probably need to be working a little bit different things, you know. And the same thing goes with, you know, a lot of our kids which is awesome, are 2 to 3 sport athletes, but our boys in the same scenario, you know.
Sure.
A basketball player who's basketball, baseball specific doesn't need to be doing the same exact workout as a football player.
Right.
But that being said, we focus on, like Coach Fox, we kind of work together a lot at Hillsboro in everything that we do, and we talk about it a lot, but we focus on being able to move. Our biggest thing is we focus on hips, flexibility, you know, being explosive in your movements. You know, from a speed standpoint, everything that we do, we try to be as fast as we can whenever we're doing it. And we make sure we have proper recovery time, and that's a big part of it. And we're not a group coaching staff that literally puts you on the sideline and says we're going to run gassers. We're not trying to train slow twitch muscle fibers. We're trying to train fast twitch muscle fibers. So you know, we do a lot of 10s, 20s, you know, 40s, stuff like that. Sometimes a little bit of 60s, but we also, like Coach Fox said, we move from a lateral standpoint as well. So in our girls, you know, volleyball, we work on a lot of jump type stuff, explosive type stuff. And then our softball girls, you know, and Coach Coonley does a great job with them, as well as our volleyball girls, in making sure that they are working that core, working those hips, things like that,
right,
from the standpoint of allowing them to be the best they can be at their sport. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've transitioned completely at Jefferson to where, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be in the weight room 6 hours out of the day, and that was a big movement whenever I got the job. I think there's only 2 hours of the day in weights, and the rest was PE, and that was a big deal whenever I got it, to transitioning to 6 hours out of the day. And I think we have around 189 kids signed up for strength conditioning first semester, and around 192 second semester. We have 300 kids in our high school. That's almost 2/3 of our high school that are wanting to take strength conditioning.
That's fantastic.
And you can see it changing with all of our sports, and that's what Coach O talked about. This is about everybody. This isn't just about football. This isn't just about basketball. This is about all of our kids and making and allowing them to be the best they can be and what they're setting out to do.
Well, for example, as a student comes to you and they don't play any kind of sports at all. They just they're focused on other activities. They're focused on academics, but they also want to stay in shape. They come to you and say, you know, Coach Wrigley, can you help me do that? I mean, can you put together an anaerobic and aerobic routine for them at that point?
Absolutely, yeah. We've done that with some of our other. I'd probably say out of the kids that are in the weight room, and we have it actually. It's open 7 hours a day. I say 6 with me. There's another teacher, Coach Nagel, that goes in there for 7th hour, but we have those specific workouts for those kids on what they're wanting to do. They'll come up and talk to us. Hey, you know, some of them aren't just like Coach Fox said. We're not trying to bulk them up. Now we're trying to gain quality muscle mass, but with the movements that we're doing, and they bought into that. But it's like, you know, a cross country runner or somebody who's just wanting to get in better shape.
Right.
They're not necessarily going to be doing the same workout as a football kid or a basketball kid.
So I'm going to use this person as the example here. It is someone that you and I know. Brittany Biddick, who plays basketball for the Jefferson Blue Jays, but she's also a competitive barrel racer with her horse. Okay, so if she came to you and said, "Look, I want to get better and stronger at barrel racing," you would try to figure out a way for her to do that to her core and
you're going to focus a lot on the core and the balance. But you know, we have our base, we have our foundation that we're trying to lay with all of our kids, and then adding some things here and there. It's like I tell them, you know, if you feel comfortable to talk to me about what you're wanting to try to improve, we can give you things that you can do outside of what we're doing in the weight room, whether it be in class or after school, to allow you to hit those spots and try to get better. Like I said, you know, barrel racing. You know, me and her talk about how she barrel races all the time. Now, she hasn't asked me for a workout yet from a barrel racing standpoint, but she's a character.
She's got any rodeo kids over there at Festus at all? I don't know. It's so if I were to come to you and say, you know, can you put together a program for a fat, disabled, old guy that you know, stuck in a chair a lot? You guys could come up with something, or
we'd be able to come up with something.
Okay, good.
That's for sure.
Coach O, talk about maybe what you've had to do coming in a new position. Have you had to change some things around in the weight room as far as changing the culture and getting some people involved? Do you have a different philosophy?
Yeah, a little bit. And for me, kids this age and at their level of development, and obviously even within, a freshman to a senior, there's going to be different levels of strength development. But for the most part, kids this age, there's a foundation that you need to lay. For me, one of the big the most important things is just posterior chain and then upper back, rear delts. That's, drastically neglected in athletes, and it's going to impact not just your ability to stay healthy, but it's going to impact your performance. And so going back in and remediating that in as many different ways as you can in the weight room is huge. And then, there's nothing really fancy about it in terms of what we do, but it's trying to teach things correctly. It's being consistent. Having the ability to get it done during the school day helps promote that consistency. You want kids to be able to play multiple sports. And, for 13 years at Rockbridge, we had a situation where our athletes were able to get their strength and conditioning needs served during the school day. And so if a kid wanted to play 3 sports, they could play 3 sports, and they weren't sacrificing anything in terms of their strength and mobility development. Sure. And so having that same situation, I think, should make a big impact just in terms of because we got a lot of multi-sport athletes, which is awesome. They're good athletes. They should play sports that they love. And so just having the ability to still serve them in terms of their needs and their long-term goals of what they want to do, because every multi-sport athlete has a primary sport, and being able to serve the needs of that primary sport is important. And so there's not a lot of differentiation because we try to focus on those building block things, and so it's pretty universal across the board. But again, in the same way, if a kid needed some recommendations on something that was specific to their sport or their needs, then absolutely we had a resource to be able to get that done to them. But I always tell for a female athlete's not going to come out of my weight room looking like a linebacker. That's not and hopefully a linebacker, you might look like a linebacker, but hopefully you move like a much smaller, more flexible, more mobile player than you were when you walked into the weight room. So
sure.
That and it sounds like the common theme here is that we want people to be better athletes, and the weight room promotes that. And obviously there's a certain amount of strength that you need to generate the type of power that you have to be fast and to be explosive. So strength is important, and we want those numbers to be great, but it's also doing it the right way that matters. So.
Well, that's great, and it sounds like all 3 of you guys and your schools have a very good grip on what it means to produce healthy and fit adults, and not just athletes, but just healthy and fit people in the long run. And I think that's a great way to wrap that question up, Ray. Ray, we always finish with the final question.
We do.
The famous question, and the question for Coach O that we want to bring up. Do you want to do that now, or
do I get permission to ask the question?
No, I think you should ask. We call this the Ray question.
I should ask the question. Okay.
And these guys have done it before. We may have to rehash it with them too.
Right.
But go ahead for Coach Afadale.
So, Coach Afadale, since we're going to break him in right now with this question.
Right.
What is something people may not know a little bit about you? It could be a hobby. It could be just something that you just really enjoy.
A hidden talent.
Creativity.
A stupid human trick.
Something.
Okay.
What's something about Coach Afadale that somebody may not know about you?
I don't know. I'm the most boring person on earth. I don't know that. I don't know if it's something that people don't know. But I lived in Nigeria for almost 3 years.
Now, there's something interesting.
That is something cool.
What were you doing over there?
My dad is Nigerian. So
okay.
we, at one point, we relocated over there. So that's lived there for about 2.5 years.
What was that experience like?
I was young. I was 3rd through 5th grade, maybe.
Wow.
3rd through midway 5th grade. So, as a kid, you adapt to different environments pretty well. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience, and fond memories of living there for a little while. So
right.
That's it, yeah.
Awesome.
Had a couple good football players in the NFL come from Nigeria.
That's true. That's true.
Specifically, the Igbos, which is what my dad is, which is what I am, the representation in the NFL and NBA, and even more so in the PhDs and the medical field and the engineers is pretty phenomenal. Just in terms of,
that's pretty cool.
Humble brag.
Yeah.
Here I am.
And even football coaches.
Not that I'm in that PhD realm, but
even high school football coaches.
That other stuff.
Coach Fox, we'll push it over to you there for the same question.
Oh my gosh.
You've had plenty of time to think.
I have actually processed that. I'm actually a lot like Coach O. I'm a pretty boring guy, really.
All football coaches say that.
We really are. Like,
they live football, so
breathe.
It's been hard through this COVID process without having football really to do, other than breaking down your own film. I don't even know how to answer that question, to be honest with you. I don't know. Do you know anything about me, Coach?
Are you passing? Are you passing the Coach?
I'm going to pass it. I really don't do anything special or cool, to be honest with you.
Do you know anything about him?
Nah, I mean,
you know anything about?
I'm trying to think.
I know,
There's
man.
some things that come to mind.
Pretty boring guy, really.
I know he's a good family man.
He is an awesome family man.
I got 2 kids, and we got a puppy. How about that, man?
There you go.
That's about it.
Good enough.
They take over my life right now, so that's pretty my boring lifestyle.
Coach Rugley.
Yeah, like these two, I'm extremely boring. There's no doubt about it. But I guess probably people already know about this about me, but I am extremely fascinated with weather.
Okay.
I am too. I mean, you and I are.
Oh, yeah. I am
He definitely
extremely
is,
fascinated with weather and anything and everything about weather. And actually majored in meteorology. That's probably something somebody did.
How about that?
For a semester of college at Culver Stockton, and decided that I knew I wanted to coach football and or coach in general, and that those two paths probably weren't going to meet together. So it's kind of one of those things that, and I kind of gotten deep into some science classes and realized, I want to teach and I want to coach. You know? So that's kind of my thing that some people may not know.
Well, there you go.
Well, we'll have to do some tornado chasing together sometime, man. That'd be awesome.
Would love that.
That's great.
Well, gentlemen, we really appreciate you being on the show today. We're going to take a quick break, and if you need to check out, we certainly understand if you're pressed for time. When we come back, we're going to unveil our and go over again our fall football schedule. So feel free to stick around if you want, and we'll tell you where not only one team live streaming team will be, but we've got 2 teams, broadcast teams.
Working on that as we speak. Yep.
Working on it as we speak. So we'll be right back with Main Street Sports Show, live stream STL.
Ray, and I'll say real quick, I really admire what you guys do with this. I think everybody who's ever tuned into one of these, whether it's a Legion game, whether it's a high school baseball game, whether basketball, football, whatever it is, I've heard nothing but tremendous feedback about live stream STL and what you guys do and the quality of production, things like that. I would really encourage anybody who's involved in athletics throughout the county, really anywhere in the metro area, anybody who's interested in sponsoring activities to get on board and get involved with this. I think it's added a ton to what we do here. It's added a ton to the program. You guys are a class act, and you're committed to doing things the right way, and we really appreciate that. Guys, I've always wanted to ask you this since you're both pitchers. What's your favorite pitch? It's a fastball? Okay, I know. It's a curveball. No? Okay, well, what's your favorite pitch?
Oh, yeah. Spitball.
The Main Street Sports Show. You never know what we're going to throw at you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Main Street Sports Show right here on Livestream STL. Want to thank once again our esteemed panel of football coaches today. Coach Ofadale from Festus Tigers, Coach Dan Fox from the Crystal City Hornets, and Coach Alex Rugley from the Jefferson Blue Jays. And we certainly appreciate their participation today. We're going to work hard to try to get some more football coaches in before the season starts. But what we want to do right now, Ray, is if you would take us through our fall football broadcast schedule that we are confident, just like the coaches, is going to happen.
We're hoping that it's going to happen, and I'm going to have to. I don't have the paper in front of me, so we're gonna go real quick through this. I'll turn this down a little bit, but we open up our first week, and none of you guys are any of the candidates, so you get a week to breathe. We've got Windsor at Herculaneum opening up, and you'll see two columns here. We are opening up two of our teams here. We're actually working on getting another team trained up, ready to go out here, and hopefully we'll have that ready to roll and won't have any issues, and we'd love to bring that to you. We're going to figure out how we're going to do the actual broadcasting too, because it's really hard and really difficult to be at two places at one time. So
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We definitely will figure it out. So here it goes, and let's see, where am I? I need to be over here. Here we go. That works out. So Windsor at Herculaneum, and that is Monroe City at the St. Pius Lancers. So we open up at Herculaneum in St. Pius. So that's our small school double feature, if you will. And then week 2, we're looking at new team to the conference. See, I wasn't even aware of that until they made that change. But the Bayless Broncos will be taking on Grandview Eagles on the 4th, and also Windsor at Perryville.
Jerry Woods, the new head coach
Perryville at Windsor, I'm sorry,
of the Bayless Broncos, up there with Eric Lawrence, the St. Pius connection.
Yep, that'll be. And I made a mistake. I'm going to have to flip that. That's Perryville at Windsor. So week 3, the Festus Tigers at Windsor. And the
good large school matchup.
The Jefferson Blue Jays at Herculaneum. Week 4, we've got St. Pius at. This is your fun game here, Coach Rugley. St. Pius at Jefferson, and DeSoto at Festus. Our only trip to Festus, and we're excited to be there for that one for Coach O.
2 big games right there.
Those
big
are 2 big
games.
ones. Yeah. We had a Saturday game, so check that out. Saturday also, we were able to pull off a Saturday game. Windsor at that is the Northeast Kansas City Vikings. So I don't know. Are they? It's crazy that they're going to make that trek over here.
I guess.
But hey, we'll cover it. It's a Saturday. We've got nothing else to do, right?
Or game if they're game.
Right. The 2 huge games that this to me is the weekend of the whole season right here. We've got Festus at Hillsboro. We've got Windsor at DeSoto. So 2 large school. That's the large school double feature. The October 2nd, that's what it is, October. I want to make sure I got my months right. October 2nd, we've got Hillsboro at Windsor, Grandview at Herculaneum. October 9th, Hillsboro at DeSoto. The St. Vincent Indians will be at St. Pius. That'll be a good game, too. Then we have St. Pius at Bayless. That'll be on the 16th. And then an interesting one here, the St. Francis Borgia Knights coming out to Hillsboro, and then we go to the last week of the season. We've got St. Vincent and the Jefferson Blue Jays, and then also the Valley Catholic against the University of Valley. We were talking about that during the break. The University of Valley against St. Pius Lancers, and then we end the season, the regular season, on a Saturday as well. Herculaneum taking on Perryville out of Perryville. So, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I've been waiting to hear back from Coach or Mr. Mr. Ken on your schedule. So we weren't able to get a schedule from you guys, and so it is with our deepest apologies. I have zero Crystal City games, and I'm not sure if you're hating me or loving me for that, so I understand.
No, it's quite all right. We were kind of hush-hush on the schedule just because we wanted to make sure everything was locked up, ready to roll.
And I understand, especially with everything that's gone on. Yeah. So, if we're able to work something out, and I'm able to throw together a third team again, we were talking about internet too out there. Internet is really kind of a little bit of a struggle out there, but for the most part, we could probably try to make something work here. But anyway, so that's kind of our schedule right now, and then we'll also. Do we want to open up what's going on the rest of this week as well?
We better. Yeah, real quickly, let's just talk about what's going on the rest of the week.
What rest of the week kind of looks a little bit like this. We have quite a bit of baseball to finish up this week, and Jeffco Diamondcast baseball. We actually open up tonight. We just threw it on the schedule, and this is going to be weather permitting. It'll be the Phenom takes on Rock Memorial out at Rock Memorial, and that's a 6:30 start.
Gotcha.
Tomorrow we'll be over right back here where I'm setting up again tomorrow for the Coach's Box. We'll have an in-house, all of our in-house guests here for the Coach's Box, and then also 2 days in a row here, Wednesday and Thursday out at Butch Lucas Field at West City Park. We've got the JC Blazers coming in to play Festus. That'll be 5:30 and 7:30 doubleheader. And also Thursday we'll finish up our baseball broadcast, we think. All that depends on weather. Yeah, knock on wood. That will be between Rock Memorial and Festus, doubleheader 5:30 and 7:30. So that is what we've got going on here at Livestream STL. And surprisingly, I don't think we have anything going on Friday, so I might have a chance to just take a breather.
A well-earned break before we gear up for the fall.
There you go.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today, and remember we'll put this back up so people who have been at work today get a chance to look at it later on too. But once again, thank you to our guests come out, talking a little football today, and we will see you all tonight. Ray will have the game from
Rock
Memorial Field over there at what time do you go on the air?
That goes 6:30.
6:30. Yep. So we'll see you tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in to the Main Street Sports Show on Livestream STL.